Imagine opening the door to your Airbnb after a guest checks out, and instead of finding a clean home, you find broken furniture, trash everywhere, and a repair bill that could ruin your entire month. Being an Airbnb host might sound like easy money, but many hosts have learned the hard way that not every guest respects the property they're staying in. Today, we're looking at some of the worst Airbnb experiences hosts have ever shared. Let's get started. One host rented out their home to what seemed like a normal group of travelers. Everything looked fine during the booking process. The guests had polite messages, a verified profile, and no obvious red flags. But when the host returned after checkout, they couldn't believe what they saw. The living room looked like a nightclub after a wild weekend. Empty bottles covered the floor, furniture had been damaged, and several items were missing completely. The guests had apparently thrown a large party despite strict rules against events. The cleanup took days, and the repair costs ran into thousands of dollars. But that's not even the worst part. Another host shared a story about a guest who brought several pets into a property that clearly had a no-pets policy. By the time the guest left, carpets were stained, furniture was scratched, and the entire house needed professional cleaning. The host said it took weeks before the property was ready for new guests again. Then there are the guests who treat rental homes like they're disposable. One host arrived to find food left out for days, garbage piled up in every room, and dishes stacked from floor to ceiling in the kitchen. The smell was so bad that neighbors had already started complaining. What should have been a simple checkout turned into a major cleaning project, and sometimes the damage isn't physical. One host explained how a guest falsely complained about the property after their stay, hoping to get a refund. Even though the host had evidence that the claims weren't true, the dispute caused stress, lost income, and hours of dealing with customer support. For many hosts, situations like these can be just as frustrating as property damage. Perhaps one of the most shocking stories involved a guest who secretly invited dozens of people to an unauthorized gathering. Neighbors reported loud music, blocked driveways, and constant noise throughout the night. When the host finally saw the property, windows were broken, walls were damaged, and several expensive items had been destroyed. The total cost of repairs was far greater than the original booking amount. Stories like these remind us that hosting isn't always as easy as it appears online. While social media often shows beautiful properties and happy travelers, hosts also deal with risks, unexpected expenses, and difficult situations behind the scenes. The good news is that most Airbnb guests are respectful and responsible. In fact, many hosts say they've met amazing people from around the world and built lasting friendships through the platform. But as these stories show, it only takes one bad guest to create a nightmare experience. So if you've ever stayed in an Airbnb, remember that you're not just renting a place to sleep, you're staying in someone's property, and respect goes a long way. What's the worst travel experience you've ever had? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unbelievable travel stories and Airbnb secrets.